And I've actually never seen this map before, so I have no idea what I'm going to get into, but again, I do at least know this is a smaller map, and here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of PT Talisman, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Brodos player from the land of Canada, living currently in the land of South Korea, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Here we go. And where exactly? Oh my god. Okay. Okay. So we have our natural base that you can take here. There is, of course, an Overlord pillar over that natural. Interesting. Likewise, ramp as well. So a very defendable natural initially is what I will say. Meanwhile, what the hell is happening here? We have hybrid gold base. We have a hybrid gold base. Likewise, a very low mineral patch here in the center. So it looks like you can actually mine through this patch, gain access to this hybrid location, and expand on the right hand side instead. That looks like to be an option here that leads towards another kind of like pseudo half base. It leads towards your opponent here. Actually, the rush distance by ground becomes quite short if you do mine through these mineral patches. Meanwhile, towards the left hand side, we do have our more standard third base location. Likewise, does not have necessarily the strongest defensive point here, just because we have the same point of elevation to attack into the third, but it is relatively narrow here, and it is actually a little bit further away from the natural as well. Interesting. There are these fringe bases. I do like the tile set here. The beach tile set looks very tranquil. Looks very nice, very chill. I feel like this is something we don't actually see too often here. Even like Odyssey back in the day didn't quite have this specific water pack. Have we seen this water before in any live maps? I think this is one of the newer tile sets, and yeah, it looks nice. Looks unique. Unique, Pap, unique. But in general, rush distance by ground does seem quite short, or shorter than at least some of the current maps in the map pool. So yeah, we'll see how our players decide to expand. We'll see how they try to get into this. Obviously, the downside here of taking this expansion, as we're seeing here, is that if you don't knock down the rocks, it'd be quite awkward to try to rotate between base and base to defend. Likewise, it can be a little bit awkward to attack as well, but I do want to favor the attacker in that kind of scenario. You can also expand towards the right hand side instead. We'll see how this all does kind of come about here, as we do have our initial Stargate opener. We have our taken choice, going to be a Stargate. Meanwhile, I'm curious how many patches. 84? Oh, okay. So, I mean, these patches are smaller patches, that is true, but with 84 minerals apiece, it actually will take quite some time to burn through that. I was waiting for a player to get within vision to click on the patch itself. But yeah, 84, that's going to take a while. So never mind, it's not going to be as easy to rush into this earlier on. I kind of like that. I feel like whenever we get a situation like this where there's a mineral wall coming into an expansion, I just realized that I believe these are, yeah, there are minerals here as well, right? Am I crazy? No, I think it might just be an aesthetic here. It might just be aesthetic, I guess? Question mark? No, I'm not actually sure here if you can actually mine through these patches. Looks like you can. No, you can't select them. Okay. But usually the minerals themselves are relatively easy to mine through. I think one of the more difficult walls to mine through is probably over on, oh god, I forgot the name already. Oh god, where's my mind going? You know what I'm talking about, not Golden Wall. In the previous map pool, there were gold walls that you could actually mine through. Would take a little bit longer to actually gain access to that location. Not thinking of Radisson Station, no. Not Amygdala. Previous map pool. Oh, but this is becoming a problem. Whenever we get a new map pool, I just burn the old names out of my mind. I just get them out of here. Not Dynasty. I think a Dynasty? No, not Dynasty. The other one. Not Everdream. Jesus. Anyway, you know what map I'm talking about. The one that you can mine through the left-hand side and then gain access to the second half of the map. Regardless, Queen is going to go down to the Oracles. So far, the Oracles, they pop off. Get a bit of damage. You know what? It's bothering me. I'm actually just going to look it up. Sparkling Tuna Cup. Liquipedia. Hold on. Let's say number 66. Number 66. Until then, the Oracle's just poking in. Behind the standard follow, +1 and blink here on the way. We do see... Oh wait, they can go through! Oh, that's what I was curious about. It's like a little worker ramp. Ah. Okay, I could be mistaken. I believe that this terrain is constructed in such a way that only workers can actually move through this, and units cannot. I'm pretty sure Lings can't go through this, for example. Otherwise, that'd be insane. If you had a link ramp going straight into the main base from the third location, that'd be insane. So I'm pretty sure that's only for workers. So only workers can actually traverse through that. Very nice. As triggers establishing a space. Hold on, the map was called Amphion. That's it. I kept in my brain, I kept thinking amygdala. I'm like amygdala, but it's not amygdala. What's it called? It's like Evergreen? No. Amphion. I was thinking of Amphion, where the patches on the left-hand side are a little bit larger, true, but even so, not as large as this. But considering that you can now actually get a worker down there a little bit easier, thanks to that, of course, kind of worker path, then this becomes a lot easier to mine through. So yeah, never mind. I was like, yo, you got a long distance mine, like 84 minerals? Like, that's crazy. But it's like, oh no, you can actually just expand and mine it a lot faster. It's like, oh, true. I wasn't too familiar with how that mineral path was kind of working. Meanwhile, we do have a trigger pushing forward. Lings are coming in for us around, and they will force us back. Stasis is going to be going up. Oh, just the one Ling. So far, SHIN just trying to buy time. Trigger rushing into the mothership. This is something you don't really see too often from the Korean Protoss players, but we've seen this more from the Europeans. Here we go, going for the mothership rush. Stalkers, they dive in. They do catch one queen. Oh no! One queen goes down. Your Lings, they just flood straight into the main base, straight into the third as well, into the natural even. Probes are going down. Hydras, they pop out just in time. Oh, a lot of Hydras are falling though to the Stalkers. It's one of those things where probes are falling, but likewise so are queens, and so is the army of SHIN. SHIN, he's in trouble. Army blinks in, gets one, gets two, gets three Hydras. Nice damage dealt here by Trigger, but he's running out of steam. He's running out of Stalkers. He has to back off. Does have to retreat. 11 probes did go down. We do see Trigger expanding on the right hand side. I wouldn't have been opposed to Trigger A-Raxing on this map, but I believe he has teched up a little bit harder. I mean, he did, of course, staying on a lower gateway count for that mothership instead. Speaking of, where is that mothership? There it is. It's on the way. It's coming. Mama's coming. Just hold on. Hold the line. And the reason why we've been seeing this build rise up in popularity, one, the mothership does so much more damage than it used to, so just as a unit itself, like it's that much more valuable. Likewise, a slow zone can be brutal here in the army. So there it is! Oh my god. We have the cloak, we have the slow zone as well. Trigger pushing in, nice concave out of SHIN though. Very nice concave. Spore is set, Overseer is coming in as well. And SHIN is able to hold on. Does bait out the stasis, started stepping forward, trying to get on top of the mothership. Mothership at last will survive. Even going for some of the overseers, we'll get one. One overseer goes down. But Amphion. Aye. And to get this mothership, it's so tanky. Jesus. Taking a lot of shots. Does help support the army, forcing SHIN back once again. SHIN behind this, getting a decent economy himself, getting that hybrid base up and running. Still a low drone count though. Nice starter stepping. Has to respect the slow zone. Does respect it, does back up. You're just saving storage, but it's true. Once I don't need like some vital information, I just purge it. I just purge it for my memory banks. I never need to think about Amphion again. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. I always remember Evergreen mode. Always. As we see Shin coming in for a bit of a flank. Nice force field. I mean, stasis trap even. Oh, other one does not quite go off. And once again, the mothership finally getting caught out. And finally, mothership is up. Oh, does it go down? Barely does. Mothership does fall. Shin just wreaking havoc, just pushing out across the map, just purely with Roach Hydra. And Storm is not ready. Oh my god, so many high Templar. We need a couple more seconds. Storm is almost done. 10 seconds away. The S-Mass, 10 more seconds. Spread those looking good. Shin collapsing on the army. Coming in from behind. Does focus on one of the High Templar. Very nicely done. High Templar goes down, forces out the Archons, and Shin, he's going to be able to overwhelm. He will break through the main army. Likewise, Trigger, his forward expansion is not going to finish. But last, the main army is crumbling. Down to a handful of Stalkers. 16 probes go down. Nice rotation out of Shin out of Trigger to try to focus on some of his Hydras, but still brutal losses. And it will still lose the forward base and the right hand side. Oh no, the recall! No, that's a rough recall. The army just crumbles. And there's nothing left. There's nothing left. There's a handful of zealots. There's a Tempest suddenly. Okay. Tempest has arrived. A couple of High Templar, a couple of Storms. Decent Storms on the army, but alas, is just an overwhelming force here. The Swarm of Zerg has arrived. And GG gets called. Shin takes game number 1. Ooh, GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Shin will take a lead in the series, but again, that was a really unique map, and it had so much coming into it as well, right? Short rush distance by ground, a much more valuable third base so you can expand to a little bit faster, is vulnerable, don't get me wrong, but we saw for the most part Trigger, he was able to defend that third base quite well. Ling Runby did catch him off guard though, and that is another point of consideration actually, now that I think about it. That third base does open you up to something like a Runby, right? Because suddenly there's another entry point into your main, right? There's a second way into the main base, and it's not as easy to plug up, so it does feel like you do need a little bit of foresight or a little bit of planning. There's, I'm sure, a bit of a learning curve to walling on Talisman, specifically to protect your main base from your third, to make sure that that kind of Ling Runby doesn't get out of hand. If you remember, that was 11 probes. 11 workers went down to that Ling Runby. Likewise, it also did distract Trigger. It gave Shin some valuable time to build back up. GG. GG, well played. But again, really unique map. And yeah, I look forward to seeing some more maps or some more games on Talisman in the coming weeks. I look forward to it. Again, I'm more than happy to like champion this kind of scenario where we can like test out some of these maps and try them out and use them and utilize them ahead of time, especially during the off season, right? Like, we're still in the off season of EPT, so now is the time to mess around with some of these newer maps, with some of these more unorthodox maps as well. Now is the time. But now we're getting into game number 2. It's going to be on Frostline. Let's go. Which I believe should be the largest map in this map pool. As spawning in the top right hand corner of Frostline, we have the blue Zerg player. The blue Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators leading the series 1-0. It is Shin. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. Go. So we are going to be settling into our ZvP. Again, as a reminder, this is going to be that best of 5, and now we can just calm things down a little bit here, loading into a map that we're a little bit more accustomed to. Again, on this newly refurbished map pool for this tournament. Frostline now the largest map in the map pool, and unlike your Abyssal Reef, Neo Violet Square, or King's Cove, this map is very large, but also very exposed bases, and that's kind of the give and take, the yin and yang, or the concept or the theory behind this map is sure, it's a large map, but likewise, you're that much more vulnerable to harassment, to multi-pronged aggression. We have seen many a player struggle to defend on Frostline It can be a little bit more difficult to end up in that longer later game state, but we'll see if we can get there. As so far, Hatch Gas Pool. Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener out of SHIN. Likewise, Trigger going to be opening up a gate expand into Cybercore. So far, so good. Yeah. So far, so good. Likewise, we have SHIN setting up in the main. Soon to be saturating his natural, taking a third base. Likewise, Trigger soon to be throwing down his tech of choice. We'll soon find out what it's going to be based on the pylon location. It could be a couple of different things here. I'm leaning towards Stargate, but this wouldn't be the worst location to try to hide some tech. I mean, further back in the main base is a bit more of an obvious location. Keep an eye on Trigger. We'll see. He typically isn't one to really mix things up too much in the early game. I know that we just saw him, one base all in the hell out of Hero. That's a different matchup. Different matchup, different vibe, different kind of player. There it is. There's the Stargate. Now, coming into Game 2, I do not expect to see another Mothership Rush. I didn't really get to talk too much about it when it was happening in that last game, but typically these Mothership Rushes are reserved for these smaller maps, and I think Talisman does kind of, it does count as a smaller map. It is a part of that, does meet the criteria, I should emphasize. A larger map like Frostline, less so. The reason for this is because typically you want to hit a strong timing with that Mothership. Like, that Mothership is a big power spike for the Protoss, and you want to hit with it as quickly as possible with those slow zones, with that cloak activation, with the extra DPS as well. So you want to be as crisp as possible with that kind of build. On a larger map like Frostline, that kind of playstyle, that kind of build specifically does feel weaker. So we should be seeing something different. As the Adepts shade into the natural, they do get a decent amount of damage. 3 drones going down. Not bad for 2 Adepts. As both Adepts do fall. It's okay damage here for Trigger. It's okay. It's okay. As Bakadome is walling, looking to expand and take a third. Meanwhile, SHIN, now that he's dealt with the first 2 Adepts, what does that mean? That means less Adepts to defend the third base. So he's moving out across the map, is going to be zooming towards that third, and we'll see if Trigger can hold on to it. There's 1 Adept here at the natural. Oracle does stick around, down stand by at the third. And we'll see if SHIN can delay. Oh, goes to the natural instead. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my god, does hit the natural instead, and the Adept is going to go down. Adept does fall. Lings, they do not get into the main. They could have. But last SHIN, he does not take the bait. He backs off for now, taking it slow. Slow and steady. He is the tortoise. Aha. He's the Rahamyan. As SHIN backs up, saturating his bases. Queens moving forward. We have 3 queens here at the third. Likewise, Spore at the natural and Spore in the main. Ling still being active. No major commitments yet. Poking in at the third. Likewise, there's that follow-up tech. Going to be a Twilight Council into a Forge. Into Pulse on a Blink. I would imagine. There it is. There's the Forge. So standard follow-up, similar to what we saw previously. If you remember last game, Trigger, he cut gateways at 5, went up to 5 gates, then into the Fleet Beacon and into the Mothership. This time I expect something more gateway. Oh no! Gateway heavy as first Oracle does go down. Ay. Big overextension here by Trigger, not quite worth it. Does get 4 drones and does dive even further in. Getting 8 worker kills Queens out of position. Nice punishment there by Trigger. And suddenly losing or killing 8 drones for 1 Oracle, it's a better trade here, or it's a more acceptable trade for Trigger. It's really hard to judge just because Oracles, they have so much value, especially in the newest patch. Like on the newest patch, Oracles, they have even more value than previously. So again, because of that, like I want to say the math has shifted a little bit here. With the help of the NG overcharge, Oracles have so much more potential. But the last Trigger is now stuck at home. Has to respect those lanes. So far trying to keep up. Big gateway explosion. That's 4 gates on the way, plus the 2 that are already done. So 6 in total so far. So already a higher gateway count than we saw previously. All the gates. Oracle's once again deflected. Just keeping an eye on saturation. Gases are being taken. I know I've been focusing a lot here on Trigger, but on the side of SHIN, SHIN likewise is getting into Roach Hydra. Ideally Ling Hydra, but he does have Roach speed on the way. That could just be for safety, or it could be actually for Roach production. So we'll see if SHIN does make any, or just go straight into Lings, into Hydras, into further tech from there. So far, nothing crazy. Overlord's going down. Trigger is teching, but he is teching in a different direction, going into a Temple Archives, into Storm. So very gateway heavy. Robo's on the way. That'll be for the prison. For detection. Stalker's a poke in. Everything scat into the main confirms, I believe, the tech. Yes, it does. Okay, it does confirm the tech of choice. SHIN is aware. Storm is on the way. And SHIN is skipping roaches. So ideally, if you're curious, if you're playing this out yourself, ideally in ZvP you do want to skip roaches. Roaches, they're a lot more effective early on for 2 base all-ins, 3 base all-ins, but they do fall off over time. So if you're headed towards a longer game state like SHIN is, going from Ling straight into Hydras is the go-to, is more efficient, and SHIN is looking to be the first to max out. Ooh, as he's cutting workers here at just over 3 base saturation, 67 drones, and he's actually making roaches. And again, I'm pretty sure that he intends to go for an all-in. Just max out and send it. Back at home, Trigger, he will have Storm, I believe, should be done soon. I don't think Trigger is realizing though. Okay, 68. Okay, no. Sorry, 6 cannons, what I meant to say. I was about to say, I don't think the Trigger has seen the lack of saturation. Again, 0 drones. There has not been a worker here at all this entire game state. Fleet beacons on the way. Bold move here by Trigger, working towards Sky Toss. Right now, he needs purely to defend. The side defense is going to help, but he needs more than that. He has cannons. No setup here at the natural. Instead of a 4th base, we should see some more side defense. And SHIN is pushing in. He's going for the kill. Is going for the 4th. Lings a distracted Trigger. Hydra stutter stepping in. Forcing a recall. Shield battery should be going down. Nice Storms. Yeah, Storms, they do cover the army. But still, there's just so much army. Yeah, the Swarm is here. That was, I believe, okay, 1 more Storm. 1 more Storm available. And potentially 1 more, but we're down to 1 High Templar. Based on their fire. Biles. Ooh, they take down the High Templar. No more Storms. Zealots, they do get on top of the army, though. Roaches are going down. Ravages are going down as well. But Lings, they do come in. They reinforce. And SHIN, he does have enough. He has broken through. He has broken the main army. Broken the expansion. Again, all these cannons never came into play. Likewise, no side defense here at the natural either. Trigger is trying to push in. Oh, Storm, not quite ready. Does get targeted down. Nice pick up here by SHIN. SHIN does pick up the High Templar. But now it's being forced back. Trigger, he's holding his own. SHIN has still not droned. He has saturation. That's only because he's mining through patches. Like, he's only transferring workers and not actually making any drones. Bear that in mind. Once again, the 4th base is denied. Just diving in. A couple of Hydras as well. Again, not the most efficient army here from SHIN, so Trigger, he can actually fight this. And saying that, Immortal goes down. Fleet beacons on the way. Storms are pretty good, though. They do zone, but the natural is under fire. Oh, and that's not just his pylon. Oh, no. Everything gets Z-powered at the natural. Mothership is about to pop out. Not much anti-air. But alas, SHIN is getting to the mineral line and probes are falling. Not like this. Miles, they raid down on the Nexus. Mothership has arrived. Cloak will save the expansion. But SHIN is still rallying, and SHIN still has not droned, by the way. He's on 69 workers. Nice. Just now droning up, but I don't think he needs to at this point. Not anymore. As SHIN is pushing in, Mothership taking a lot of hits, does survive, does defend, but Cloak, it runs out. No, Cloak does run out. And SHIN, he wants the Immortal. He wants it. Starter says forward. Immortal goes down. Tempest has arrived. Let's go. And SHIN, he's had enough. Takes out the Robo. Now going for the natural expansion. Behind this massing Hydras to make sure he has some anti-air. Wouldn't even be opposed to a Spire. Just in case. As more Tempests are building up. Likewise, Trigger still just barely clinging on here. As SHIN is running out of Hydras. Okay. He runs out of Hydras. He has to back off. Has to consolidate his army. Going back around. Does catch his Zealots. Going for the Tempest. Oh god. The Storms. Storms do chase him back. And again, I'm impressed by how much Triggers are pulling off here, despite how little of an army he has. 2 Tempest, 1 Mothership, 1 Stalker, but there's only so much they can do. Stalkers, they do rally in, they start to step forward, and it looks like they will finally catch one. Oh, no, not even, never mind. They didn't even catch it. The power of the Sky Toss. But there we go. Hydras, they push forward, and they still won't quite have enough to break through. And no detection, no Overseer. Cloak is amazing in this position. Just free damage on the Hydras. At least until the Cloak one's out. During that time, we have shield batteries on the way. But finally SHIN almost maxed out. Starter sets forward, takes down the low ground. Trigger down to just basically purely Sky Toss. He's coping a little bit. There's a little bit of cope going on. No. As one ship goes down, GG gets called, and SHIN will take a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Whew. Will take a lead as he takes a lead in the series, or as he extends the lead. A big shout out to Quinton in the chat. Papi God, thank you so much for you subscribing for 7 months. Thank you. Do appreciate the support. Do appreciate it very much, sir. Gracias. Thanks to the support that we get in the chat, we're able to host our events and fund our tournaments as often as we do. So thank you so much. As we are getting ready for game number 3. Again, when it came to that last game, we saw that SHIN, he was able to basically go for a 3-base all-in. It was a 3-base all-in at the SHIN, if you remember. The 4th base was just for Larva. From the side of Trigger, if you recall, he had misread the situation. He threw down a bunch of side defense at the 3rd, but the 4th was exposed, and the natural was empty as well. So unfortunately he set up a bunch of side defense, not quite where it was the most useful, and in the end he was outscaled, he was overwhelmed. In the end, did see SHIN taking a further lead, and now we're getting into game number 3. Let's go. Gonna be loading into Whispers of Gold, and we'll see if Trigger he can bounce back and make a series out of this. We'll see if SHIN will take it here and now. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators, leading the series 2-0. When amass one more game is all he needs to be this week's PiGosaur Monday champion. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk, down quite heavily here in this series. He has to fight back here and now to force a series out of this. It is Trigger. Here we go. So calming things down to have Trigger looking to expand once again here on the low ground. Just going for the gate expanded to Cybercore, standard opener. Again, when it came to the previous game specifically, I mean, winding it back a little bit further, game 1, Trigger was the aggressor, and I do think the map played a big part of it. Again, game 1 was on Talisman. When it comes to game 2, that was more of unfortunately Trigger just having a bit of a misread. He wasn't quite able to let's go. But if you remember, he wasn't able to quite confirm the all-in that was coming, so he was not really set up for it. in a way, a better way of putting it, Trigger, he was caught with his pants down. The pants, they were down, papi. Oh my god. And with that, he was overwhelmed. Meanwhile, though, we have Shin going for something that we haven't seen from Shin in quite some time, going for the proxy hatchery. We're going for the hatch box specifically. Now, this should not finish. This should be cancelled, and just to delay the expansion, just to delay mining time. Back at home, Shin did open up hatch first. Technically, hatch, gas pool. So a bit of a more greedier opener here by Shin, but again, it is all designed to delay the expansion of Trigger. And there's a cancellation. Ooh, the drone does get killed. That should not have happened. So nicely done there by Trigger. Snipe the drone. Now we can expand. Of course, Shin does confirm this. Likewise, Shin also confirmed the lack of second gateway and the second pylon on the low ground. So Shin knows that he's pretty safe. And with that, double expand. Double expand here out of Shin. Very fast third expansion. But again, he is aware that there's no hyper aggression coming his way. If Trigger so chose to, we could have thrown down an earlier second gateway, delayed his expansion a little bit further to get extra units early on to try to apply pressure and try to overwhelm Shin. That is not the case this time. It is not the case. Third base is taking quite a bit of hits. Link speed is on the way. A handful of safety links as well. And the links are there to keep up with the shades. So far, so good. Oh no! Dep shades in, gets around it. That should not have happened. One Dep goes down. Massive pickoff. Zelda into the mineral line. Delays some mining time, but alas, links, they will deal with this as well. And a really rough start for Trigger. That should not have happened. With that, Dep goes down. Zelda goes down. Now Shin has map control. Now we can move out and delay the third base. Trigger is going to be stuck on two bases a little bit longer. Does have the Adept on the way. Does have a Stargate opener himself. Stargate into Oracle, I would imagine. But again, there's so much riding on this Adept to just buy time and to keep Shin pinned and keep him defensive. Not aggressive. That's the hope. As Trigger is yet to expand. Still focusing on his tech of choice. Going for the Oracle. I would imagine Oracle opener. And meanwhile, Shin skirting around the edge. Is being active. Likewise, a Trigger back at home, still on two bases, going for a Twilight Council before expansion. I mean, again, I was waiting for the third base that never came. Is this Glaives? I mean, on two bases like this could be a plethora of builds. If this was a sane Protoss and we were seeing an expansion, I would assume Glaive Adepts. Here with Trigger, this could be a charge-based all-in. With only two gases, I mean, could still be Blink as well. I'm leaning towards either Blink or Glaives. Lack of Forge, it does feel like a Glaive Adept build here, but we'll see what Trigger goes for. Regardless, going to be very committed. Regardless, this does need to do critical economic damage for so far. So, I mean, so far it does delay some of the mining. There it is. Glaives are on the way. That's gonna be a lot of Glaive Adepts. That's doesn't look like a lot now, but it soon will be. Meanwhile, Trigger does scout. He scouts, he confirms, he does see the gateways, does see the Twilight Council. He is aware that aggression is coming his way. We'll see how Shin responds. We should be seeing a safety Roach Warren or a Baliness. We should be seeing one or the other. Without any is crazy. Lings, they do slip in, they try to get us around. So far, Trigger, he's holding on. Moving out with his own counterattack. Glaives is not done yet. Bear that in mind. It's still on the way. I'm still a little bit in shock though that Shin, despite taking all these gases, has yet to tech. There it is. Roach Warren now on the way at the almost 5:30 mark. Very late Roach Warren here from Shin. Not very safe. And we'll see if he gets away with it. So far, so good. Does catch the Adepts. Trigger racing back. Going to be 5 Adepts in total. More Adepts on the way. Up to 9. Sorry, up to 8. He did Adepts threatening a dive. And Shin ideally just wants to buy time for more roaches. As Roach Warren just happened. Oh, that's around! Oh, as Trigger, he commits to the shade. Lings, they come in for the surround. Oracles are already adepts. They get annihilated. That should not have happened. And with that, no more adepts. Lings, they move out across the map for a counterattack. Oracles, they have to race back home. Did one Oracle go down? Oh, not quite. But has taken a lot of hits. Has taken a lot of damage. Oracle doing what they can. Oh no, but the... Okay, we're good. As Trigger does wall off. Not doing his best hero impression. Let's go. Ooh, and we're all in. Jesus, we are just going straight all in here from SHIN. SHIN, he has not fully saturated on 3 bases. They don't take extra gases. He's only on 4. So 4 gases, 3 base mineral income, or really 2.5 base mineral income, and just purely Ling, Roach Ravager, Queen all in. And once again, Trigger, he's not ready for this. There's 1 shield battery that's already out of energy. So just the 1 shield battery. SHIN diving in. The Miles, oh my god, they connect. They take down some of the probes. And SHIN, it does look like he has something. He has at least broken the 3rd base. Trigger, he has to back off. Stutter stepping back to the natural. No shield battery. No shield battery set up here. Aye. And GG gets called as SHIN, he breaks through the 3rd base. He breaks through the natural as well. And SHIN will take the series 3-0. GG. GG, well played. A very aggressive series out of SHIN. I will still stand by the fact that game 1 was Trigger being the aggressor, but game 2 and game 3 was SHIN in his element, trying to force his opponent to scout him, to react to him as well. We saw that again. Trigger, he was trying to build up towards a longer game state, was trying to get his, well, I mean, I say that, it was a really weird start. Okay, so initially, very late 3rd. If you remember, very late 3rd base for Trigger did open up Glaive Adepts, or Oracle into Glaive Adepts, but the moment that he committed the Shade with that build, and he got surrounded, I mean, that was kind of game then and there. Like again, the entire purpose here was to work towards those glaives, but for the glaive adepts to be shut down so quickly, so hard, and in such a fashion, did not bode well. Did not bode well for that final game. So in the end, did go the way of SHIN. And with that, congratulations here, SHIN. He will take the series. He will be this week's PiGosaur Monday champion. Congratulations. Well done, well played. Meanwhile, a shout out to Trigger because, again, he played very well, making it to the finals to begin with. Speaking of, I'm curious myself, what was the bracket looking like here in PiGosaur Monday? Okay, from the oh my god, from the top, I do wish that we were able to cast some of these matches here, but okay, we had MaxPax. MaxPax has been MIA for a lot of these online open cups. Last week he was barely active, so great to see MaxPax returning once again. MaxPax taking down Nickeract taking down Geralt. They have been going back and forth. I do favor Geralt in that series, but for Nickeract to bring down Geralt, big win for Nickeract. Scrolling down, SHIN dropped a map to Mute. The only map drop Mute. He's an animal, by the way. Mute, he loves rushing Skytoss. He loves it. He loves cutting corners and being greedy and being very unorthodox, especially in this matchup. So Mute, he is very unpredictable in that sense. Or I don't know if I will say unpredictable, but he has his own style. Does have his own style. And SHIN, he didn't just take down Trigger in the final. SHIN, he took down MaxPax 2-0 as well. Very impressive, very impressive. I mean, we have seen SHIN defeat MaxPax before, as we kind of saw in this series. SHIN, he thrives a lot more here when it comes to these aggressive builds, aggressive styles. He can catch a Protoss opponent with their pants down, as we saw him do with Trigger multiple times. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Hero. Hero takes down Percival 2-1, went to the ace match. Big shout out to Percival. I have yet to cast any Percival matches, but I do want to. We have been seeing the rise of Percival as he has returned to competitive play, so I want to see how he fares against some of these other top players. Meanwhile, Trigger, oh my god, popping off here. Trigger, he 2-0 Dark, and he also 2-0, I mean, we casted him 2-0 Hero, but 2-0ing Dark, that was not meant to happen. This should have been a Dark versus Hero rematch here in the semis, but no, Trigger, he popped off. And again, this tells us, I was gonna say this tells us that again, Trigger clearly, like, he can take it to some of these more aggressive Zerg players, but I will emphasize, and I need to hammer this home, is that Dark and SHIN, their similarities are in the sense that they're both Zerg and that they're aggressive, but when it comes to their builds, they're very different. Very different builds, very different approaches overall to the matchup. They are aggressive, yes, but Dark, he's known for Link Queen Nidus all-ins. He's known for these Roach-based all-ins as well. He's known for 2 and 3 base aggression. SHIN, I think he did a much better job at hiding his builds, at hiding his styles, hiding his builds, and sneaking out these all-ins when Trigger did not really expect it. Especially game 2, and yeah, here in game 3 as well. And unfortunately, Trigger just had a bit of a harder time getting a read on what was happening, but at least he was able to keep up with Dark. I do think that the Dark is actually a little bit more predictable in PvZ. I do stand by that, but still very aggressive, and still the execution of Dark's aggression is some of the best in the world, which is what makes him terrifying, but not terrifying enough to bring down Trigger. GG. GG, well played. With that, we have our tournament in the books. Again, a bit of a shorter broadcast today. We only had the replays for Hero Trigger and also for the finals as well. Do apologize for that, but there just weren't many replays provided to us. So, you know, for now to the casters of this event that did not provide as many replays, but regardless, still some fun matches nonetheless. And again, as I mentioned before, a bit of a shorter broadcast today because I'm insanely tired. I'm very, very tired. For those that are curious, I've not slept in almost 24 hours. Was traveling all day, was coming back home from having a bit of a break. We did take 2 days off to spend time with some family. Now we're back, and looking at the calendar, we're going to be casting quite a lot for quite some time. Oh boy. Let's go. So we're going to be heading off for the time being. We're going to be back in how many hours time? In 13. In 13 hours time, we're going to be back. Sorry, 14 hours time. We're going to be back with the Elite League December replay cast, the December finals. We were going to be casting the December finals here and now, but because I was made aware that this broadcast was going to be shorter, the PiGosaur Monday cast, I mean, I did make the decision to switch them just so I can actually get some sleep and rest up in time for Elite League, because Elite League is going to be a much longer cast, much more dedicated cast. There's a lot of matches in Elite League, there's a lot to get into. Oh boy, is a lot to get into. And again, that's in 14 hours. 14 hours time, we're going to be live here once again. Otherwise, once again, as a reminder, happy holidays, Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, and so have you. So hope you've all been enjoying your end of year, and I hope you enjoy, or hope you have a great new year as well. We should be casting through New Year's. Should be casting, you know, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, going into January as well. I think we have a cast for every single day, as always. I'm just having a couple of days off to spend time with some family members. Otherwise, we're done for the time being. Again, a bit of a shorter broadcast. I'm just gonna try and get some sleep, get some rest, and get ready for tomorrow's cast. That's the plan. That's the plan. There we go. Hero versus Max X would have been a much better finals. I don't know if I would agree with that. We've seen Hero versus Max X before in PvP. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Not too sure. And regardless, did have a fun time here with SHIN and Trigger. But clearly, you know, as much as you would want to see Hero and Max, SHIN and Trigger were the better players on the day. The better players on the day here. And again, based on Trigger's recent performances in PvP, I would almost want to see Trigger versus Max just to kind of see how they compare. Trigger, he's been a beast in PvP, as I mentioned before. He's been taking down a lot of the Korean Protoss players. Curious how he compares to some of the European Protoss players, specifically in Max. Maybe next time, though. Maybe next time. If Max is able to overcome the terror that is SHIN, then maybe he'll earn the luxury of facing off against Trigger. Maybe. Until then, though, guess we're gonna be wrapping up. For the time being. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in 14 hours for our next cast. I'm gonna try and sleep as much as I can, and otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow. See you tomorrow, papi. See you. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Take care, everyone. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid who is live at the moment. Sort of. So I haven't raced it. I haven't raided. I can barely speak. I haven't raided sort of in quite some time. Usually it's him rating us as of late. So I would love to give some love back to Sword. Love to give it back to him. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao. Papi ciao. Until tomorrow. Until 14 hours from now. See you then. See you then. See you then.